go for a different purpose. Now, I want to instruct, notice that word, I want to instruct the Hall sisters and their accompanist to be ready. I don't care whether you repeat those same songs or bring new ones, but I instruct you to repeat this any Sunday you want. Make sure you include Sunday, June 24th. Sunday, June 24th will be one day before I celebrate my 35th anniversary, and my wife happens to celebrate it too. So if only to help her forget the major sacrifices she made in sticking around with me for 35 years, I want the Hall sisters to sweeten her up on that day. Usually I'm a little bit concerned when worship kind of morphs between a concert and worship. But not today. Because of who you are, because of the work that went into celebrating this congregation, there's no way that Union could celebrate this anniversary any other way. And I repeat to you that you are a wonderful people, and it is a blessing of my life to be with you for moments and to celebrate this anniversary with you. And I'm sorry my wife isn't here today. This is one of those days she should have been, but Connecticut is not exactly next door. So, congratulations, if that's the word. Thanks be to God for this anniversary. Thanks be to God for all of the pillars, the human pillars, who blazed the trail before us and who have left us a legacy and left us a responsibility with which we must be good stewards. Let us pray. Open our eyes, our ears, our hearts, our wills. And even as we give you thanks for Justin as he leads us, for all the participants who have blessed us because you have blessed them, continue to bless us together and surprise us now with what you say and what your Spirit does, and the joy that accompanies it all, and the transformation that will come upon our lives, our city, and our world because we have stayed with you, O God. Amen. My wife has an aunt who is approaching 105 and still going strong. The last time I saw Aunt Ivy, she was in her 90s. She was walking around briskly, straight as a stick, like any 60-year-old woman. And looking around sheepishly to see if any of her immediate relatives were near and in sight, she whispered to me, "You have any cigarettes?" Now, Aunt Ivy has smoked her whole life. And her great-grandchildren and grandchildren can't stop her. When somebody chided her for smoking again at that age, Aunt Ivy stubbornly protested, "Age is just a number." Now, this isn't a public service announcement that if you want to live to 105, go smoke. As you well know, people who reach the evening of their years of life begin to have arthritis and other mobility issues. And not many are as sprightly as Aunt Ivy. Now, over time, institutions, just like people, can lose their energy, mobility, and flexibility. The person who wrote the letter to the Hebrews recognized this. He or she, familiar with Christian behavior, warns that the same thing can happen spiritually to us that happens physically to aging people and organizationally to institutions. So in Hebrews chapter 12, verses 12 and 13, the writer declares what I use for a text today. Therefore, strengthen your feeble arms and weak knees. Make straight paths for your feet, so that the lame may not be disabled, but rather healed. Today's theme is, we are all part of God's family. And you will have noticed that Hebrews 12 begins with a cloud of witnesses. That cloud of witnesses represents an eternal, historical, spiritual, and biblical family to which every member of Christ's body, every member of Union Baptist Church belongs. And that cloud of witnesses has completed a long journey of faith. That journey is outlined in Hebrews chapter 11, usually referred to as the hall of faith. And that cloud of witnesses, the writer puts it, sits somewhere high above, watching us. It's like a pavilion, and we're running a race down on the track. And that crowd of witnesses is seated in the arena, watching us, because we are still traveling. This cloud of family members completed their journey because they were strong. And the Hebrews writer, recognizing that you and I are still on this journey, warns us that to make this journey and to complete it, since we are 98 years old, we should be strong like Aunt Ivy, although the writer wouldn't encourage us to smoke. But we should be smoking, so to speak, like Aunt Ivy. Strengthen your feeble knees and weak arms. Make level paths for your feet, so that the lame may not be disabled, but rather healed, the writer pleads. Now, we cannot afford this 98th church anniversary to be weak or weakening. At this point, age is just a number. We must strengthen ourselves. And there's a little nuance. We must strengthen ourselves is not the same as be strong. Be strong elicits an attitude. It tells you to become something. But strengthen yourselves is a charge to do something, to be active, and to get engaged in a lifestyle that would strengthen you in the end. Amen. Now here are 4 thoughts on that matter. First, you must strengthen yourselves because there is a journey to finish. You must strengthen yourselves because there is a journey to finish. At 98 years old, if you were a human being, your life would soon be over. You're an institution of people, Union Baptist Church. And institutions happen to travel longer than people do. Now, as an institution that is an instrument of the eternal God, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, as the writer describes Jesus in verse 2. Your journey is going to be longer. See, institutions last longer than people. But institutions that belong to the divine eternal God will last even longer. Because they serve and are fellow laborers with that eternal God. So understand this. Long after each one of us is gone, this church must continue its journey. And the energetic resumption must begin now, not tomorrow. And the young people we refer to as the future, they're in fact our present. They're here now. And you who are old and think you're over the hill, you're not gone yet, you're still here. And all of us must bind together to energetically resume this journey, because we've got a long ways to go. We've got a journey to finish. There are two things about this journey. This journey requires speed. Speed. In verse 1, the writer says, you've got to run. You've got to run because the journey is not a walk, it's a race. Run with perseverance the race that is set before you. And it's not just speed, but it's sustained speed. Run with perseverance. Perseverance. Sustained speed. You got to run with consistency. You got to run with persistence. You can't run now and rest a while. You got to persistently, perseverantly, if that's the word, run this race. Now I know it's tough to be old and athletic at the same time. Even I have difficulty putting on my socks nowadays. But the good news is this. The race is not against people. It's a race against time. That's different. You're not running against people. And since it's not a race against people, it's not a competition. So don't measure yourself, Union, against other congregations. Don't ever think that you have to compete with some mega church somewhere about the place. I don't know if you've been reading the news and if you know anything about a church called Willow Creek, and I have to be careful, I don't want to be bashing anybody. But, you know, there's a congregation I used to be pastor of that paid a lot of attention to this mega church, Willow Creek, in Illinois. And they have worldwide conferences every year. And a whole lot of churches all over the world pay attention to them. And I and some leaders in our little congregation years ago sat down and we looked at some things and we discovered some things. And lo and behold, a year after, the mega church came out saying, we've discovered XYZ. And I and the leaders in that church said, well, duh. So don't think that mega churches have anything over you. Don't run any competition with them. The race is not against people. The race is against time. And the bad news is because it's a race against time, people may slow down and you may catch up with them, but time never slows down. That's why you've got to run with perseverance, because time is no respecter of people. And I don't care about black time or Caribbean time or African time. They say if a European lands in Africa and doesn't realize that the African is thinking, you have the watch, but we have the time, you're in trouble. Look, time doesn't stand still. The last time I read the book, it was still saying, knowing the time, it is high time to wake up out of your sleep. because your salvation is nearer than you think. It was still saying, arise, shine, for the glory of the Lord has come. Look, friends, as time races on, haven't you noticed that people are falling deeper and deeper into all kinds of new sins while the old ones aren't doing too badly? And folks are doubting the power of the gospel more and more because they find credible Christians less and less. It's getting late for salvation, and we're in a race against time. So the journey requires speed. The second thing that this journey is about, it doesn't only require speed, it requires shedding. Shedding. The writer says that as we run, we must throw off everything that hinders and the sin which so easily entangles. Now, you can try to run a race in stiletto heels if you want, or platform shoes, or in a space suit. But you'll either come in last, or faint, or break your ankle long before the finish. So I don't have to explain to you folks how your sin slows you down, how somebody else's sin slows you down, how your sin slows somebody else down. The guilt, the drama, the cover-ups, the collusion, the denials, the shame, the entangling web of lies that we weave to cover it up, the failure to get anything meaningful done because of the scandal. Sin slows us down, and sometimes sin cuts us down. The writer says you must shed all of that, put it off, throw it off. But sin ain't the only problem. The writer equally warns us about something called encumbrances, dead weights. Not because it isn't sin, doesn't mean it won't hurt you. Because anything that retards your speed and your progress is an encumbrance. Something that slows you down and makes you lose the race is not worth it after all. No matter how good it makes you look, no matter how tall it makes you feel, it slows you down and it robs you of the goal. It might be a hobby, might be a wrong priority, maybe some ambition or some preoccupation. But slow you down it will. It's not sin, but it's an encumbrance. And you've got to figure it out. 12 minutes after takeoff on a transatlantic flight, an Airbus A380, you know, that biggest airliner that has 2 decks, passengers on top, passengers below. I flew on one back from Germany some years back. Marvelous. They wouldn't let me on the top deck. 12 minutes after such an airliner full of passengers, full of fuel, takes off to cross the pond, as we call it, it runs into trouble. And the pilots must return for an emergency landing. Now, fuel is good, usually. Not sinful. But now in that emergency, those tens of thousands of pounds of jet fuel have suddenly become a dangerous encumbrance. And the pilots know that they're asking for disaster if they don't dump all of that fuel or most of it before attempting to land, because aircraft cannot land safely when they exceed a certain weight. My friends, that's the exact kind of danger you're in when you do not find out what are those encumbrances that weigh you down, that make your landing hard and make your knees weak and puts them out of joint. That's what's in the mind of the writer to the Hebrews when he or she writes, make straight paths for your feet so that you won't go lame or go broken. Throw off every weight, throw off every encumbrance. So I ask you today on this 98th anniversary of this church. Some weeks ago I asked you what's in your wallet. Today I ask you what's in your backpack. What must you throw off? What will you throw off today as individuals and perhaps even as a church? What do we need to shed as load so that we might run? You must strengthen yourselves because you have a journey to complete. That journey requires speed. That journey requires shedding. Here's the second thing. You can strengthen yourselves because there is an example to watch. Looking to Jesus, run, the writer says. And as you run, look to Jesus. Don't look over your shoulder and start to celebrate so early. And even though you win the race like Usain Bolt did some years back, he didn't break the record. Don't do that. Don't celebrate before you reach. Look to Jesus as you run. As you run, strengthen yourselves because there is an example to watch. And the example, of course, is Jesus. When Jesus is our example, there is a gaze you must initiate. When the writer says looking to Jesus, he doesn't mean just a glance. He doesn't mean just a quick double take and move on. He means, or she means, an intense, deep, searching, observant, learning, relentless gaze. It's kind of like when those of you guys who are married, when you first saw the woman you knew you wanted to marry, you couldn't take your eyes off of her. And the women are laughing loud because they also could not take their eyes off of you. A gaze. We must flood our minds with Jesus. There's a gaze we must initiate. When Jesus is our example, there's also a joy we must imitate. So as we gaze on Jesus, there's a unique truth about Jesus that's not true about anybody else organically. Something about Jesus you'll discover as you gaze on him that you'll discover is not true about you, but is true about him. And it's that Jesus bore a miserable, brutal, undeserved, painful, and unfair experience, not with sulking, not complaining, not weary, not even angrily. No, he bore it, unlike you and me, with joy. Who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, ignoring, dismissing that it is shameful. He did something that was beneath him with joy. Now, I don't want to trouble anybody today or get into your business. We welcome everybody who's here today. And somebody said in a meeting yesterday that when we ask you to do certain things, we were asking you you can't leave the church before 2020. Well, some of you have done already. And knowing human nature, some of you might. One of the reasons why some people check out is that they can't bother to endure the shame. They can't bother to endure any little thing that doesn't even come halfway close to what Jesus endured, and yet they say, I am following Jesus, hallelujah. When our road becomes hard with injustice and unreasonable treatment, whatever the ugly thing is, we must be careful to do whatever we shall for the Lord with joy. Joy. There's a joy we must imitate. So when we're following Jesus' example, sulking and serving don't go together. If you're coming to serve me sulking, you might as well keep it. Keep it. Don't bother. Right? None of us likes to be served with sulking. I mean, if we make a server in a restaurant serve us with sulking, we might get something more in the soup than we bargained for. So I hear. In fact, I think it's Van Jones or one of those. No, it's not Van. It's probably the other guy, the tall guy who has, I forget his name now. One of those guys tells the story that he was in a restaurant sometime years ago and left. When he came in, everybody was about to tell him, don't finish your Coke. And after he drank it, somebody whispered to him, every single one of the white people around that table, when you turn your back, spat in your cup of Coke. Well, sulking and serving don't go together. Even when they do us that kind of stuff, do it with joy. There was a difference between the way Dr. King approached the civil rights fight compared to the way my fellow countryman Stokely Carmichael approached it. Kwame Ture, SNCC, he was ready to fight. And King urged joy. Take it easy. Look, when you're following Jesus' example, complaining and committing don't go together. That's when some folks check out. I'm committed to Jesus, but I've complained too much about this church. I'm out of here. Complaining and committing don't go together. Who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, dismissing the shame. Cursed be everyone who hangs upon a tree, the Old Testament declares, yet he goes to the cross with joy and doesn't feel bogged down with shame, doesn't complain to God, even though for a fleeting moment in the garden, Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me, but nevertheless, not my will, but yours. But somehow, even though sulking and serving don't go together, complaining and committing don't go together, somehow in Jesus, jeopardy and joy go together. And I think that at 98 years old, a congregation of people have got to learn how to deal with jeopardy with joy, how to deal with trouble with joy, how to stay under the pressures with joy. When Jesus is our example, there'll be an endurance. That's the next point. An endurance we must cultivate. It's not just enough to gaze on Jesus. So in verse 3, the writer says, for consider him. Consider him. Let me explain that word consider. It refers to a deep analysis. In fact, the English word logic and analysis comes from that Greek word, analogos. It's looking up and down a word. It's deep reflection, deep analysis, clear logic, rigorous reflection upon something. Consider him. Again, it's not just a quick glance. It's deep reflection. And that's the something that we should consider. Jesus. We should consider his endurance. Let me explain that word now. It means to remain under. Hypo, from which we get the English hypo, like a hypodermic needle, an underskin needle. Hypomone, mone meaning I remain. Endurance, therefore, means I remain under. I remain under pressure. We should deeply and rigorously compare ourselves with Jesus, measuring our ability to endure, to remain positive and engaged, and to stay put when people make mistakes as they do, as we do, that hurt us, or when they go out of their way to wickedly act against us. When we appreciate what Jesus remained under, consider him who endured such hostility from sinners. And I would like to think that the writer is not just talking about the people who put him on the cross, but the Judas, one of the 12 who walked with him for 3 years. Also the Peter who abandoned him and cussed and said, I don't know the man. I don't know the man. I'd like to think that he endured hostility when all the other 10 hightailed it out of the town. And all that were left were the women whom we still degrade and undervalue today. The women. They were there. Consider him. Soon as somebody steps on a toe, I'm gone. You can't endure. Now, when a child behaves like that, I can understand it. When a 98-year-old woman behaves like that, I have a problem.
Yes, sir.
When we appreciate what Jesus went under and stayed under until the Lord lifted him up, only then shall we learn how to stay put under far less pain, some of it petty and childish. The people of a 98-year-old church should know the maturity of managing trouble, not running away from it. We learn this from gazing on Jesus. Here's a third thing about strengthening yourselves. You will strengthen yourselves only if you have the discipline to do so. Think about it. No pain, no gain, they say. The kind of long distances that even sprinters must run as part of their training. The discipline to stay with it. The diets they must restrict themselves to, the weights that they must. You know, I travel a little bit, so I know what 50 pounds, 70 pounds are.